No clocks or windows. Walk into any casino in the world, Vegas, Macau, Monte Carlo, and look around. No clocks on the walls, no windows facing outside, no natural light whatsoever. You could walk in at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday and stumble out into full darkness, having genuinely no idea that 6 hours just evaporated. That's not an accident. It's the oldest trick in the casino playbook, and it's been standard practice since at least the 1970s. The logic is straightforward. Time awareness is the enemy of gambling. The moment you glance at your watch and realize it's midnight when you thought it was 9, your brain does a quick audit. You get tired. You think about work tomorrow. You think about the $200 you've already dropped. The spell breaks. So casinos engineer an environment where that moment never happens. The lighting inside is kept at a constant, comfortable level. Bright enough to see your cards, dim enough to feel like evening. Always. No shadows shifting as the sun moves. No golden hour coming through a window to remind you the day is ending. Even the air conditioning is calibrated. Temperature stays in a narrow band where you're never cold enough to want a jacket you left in the car, never warm enough to feel sluggish. The outside world doesn't exist in there. That's the whole point. The maze layout. If you've ever tried to find the exit in a casino and ended up at a roulette table instead, that wasn't bad luck with directions. That was architecture doing exactly what it was designed to do. Casino floors are engineered with a principle that behavioral psychologists call path manipulation. The idea that if you control where people walk, you control what they're exposed to, and therefore what they spend money on. Bill Friedman, a gambling industry consultant who spent decades studying casino design, literally wrote the book on this. His research concluded that winding, maze-like layouts with low ceilings and slot machines at every turn kept players engaged longer than open, easy-to-navigate spaces. So the cashier isn't near the entrance. The bathroom isn't a straight shot from anywhere. The exit signs are there, legally they have to be, but they're not exactly highlighted. To get anywhere useful, you're threading through rows of machines, past open tables with empty seats, past someone who just won something loudly. Every path is a gauntlet of temptation. More recent casino design has actually moved away from pure maze layouts toward what designers call the playground model. More open, more visually stimulating. But the core principle didn't change. You're still being guided. The path is still chosen for you. They just made the cage look nicer. Free drinks. The cocktail waitress materializes at your elbow roughly every 15 minutes. You didn't ask for a drink. You didn't flag her down. She's just there, smiling, holding a tray, and yes, it's all complimentary. This is presented as hospitality. It is not hospitality. A standard well whiskey costs a casino maybe $1.50 to pour. What they get in return from a player who's had 3 of them, looser bet sizing, longer session time, worse decision-making at the table, is worth orders of magnitude more than that. Research into alcohol and gambling behavior consistently shows that even mild intoxication raises average bet sizes and extends how long people stay. In a casino context, where the house edge is already working against you mathematically on every single hand, giving your judgment a slight handicap is like starting a race with a weighted vest on. The casino already had the advantage. Now they've made yours worse. And here's the part that's almost elegant in how cynical it is. The drinks are free specifically at the tables and machines, not at the restaurant, not at the bar away from the floor. If you're sitting still, gambling, the drinks come to you. The moment you stop, the free part quietly ends. It's a very literal reward for exactly the behavior they want. You're being conditioned, and it tastes like a gin and tonic. The house edge. Everything else on this list is a trick, a psychological nudge, an environmental manipulation. This one is pure math, and it's the foundation everything else is built on. Every game on a casino floor is structured so that over enough time, the casino wins a fixed percentage of all money wagered. Not sometimes, always. That's what the house edge is, a permanent, mathematical advantage baked into the rules of the game itself. On American roulette, there are 38 possible outcomes. 2 of them, the single zero and the double zero, belong to the house. Bet on any number and win, you get paid 35 to 1. But the true odds of winning are 37 to 1. That gap, those 2 extra slots, gives the casino a 5.26% edge on every single spin. Over millions of spins, that 5.26% becomes an enormously reliable revenue stream. Blackjack has a lower house edge than most games, around 0.5% with perfect basic strategy, but almost nobody plays perfect basic strategy. The average player hands the house somewhere between 1.5% and 2%. Slot machines, depending on where you are set to return between 85% and 98% of money wagered, which sounds generous until you do the math and realize a 2% edge on a machine handling $600 an hour is $12 an hour extracted automatically from a machine that never takes a break. You can have hot streaks, you can win big on a given night, but you cannot, over time, overcome a negative expectation game through skill, superstition, or sheer stubbornness. The math doesn't care about any of that. Near-miss programming on slots. You're at a slot machine. The first reel lands on the jackpot symbol. The second reel lands on the jackpot symbol. The third reel spins down, slows, and stops, one position above the jackpot. So close, you feel it in your chest. That's not a coincidence. Modern slot machines use software called a random number generator, and in most jurisdictions, game developers are allowed to program near-miss outcomes to appear more frequently than pure probability would produce them. The regulatory specifics vary. In the UK, it's explicitly banned. In many US states, it's permitted within limits, but the underlying technique has been documented and studied extensively. The way it works, the reels are virtual, mapped to a weighted table of outcomes. A losing spin that shows 2 jackpot symbols and 1 near miss can be programmed to occur at, say, 3 times the rate a true random distribution would generate. The result is that you lose, but you lose in a way that feels like almost winning. And neurologically, almost winning activates your brain's reward circuitry in a pattern that's nearly indistinguishable from actually winning. Dopamine releases. Heart rate goes up. The urge to pull again spikes. Research published in the Journal of Gambling Studies found that near-miss outcomes significantly increased the desire to continue playing, even in participants who understood intellectually that the outcome was random. Knowing it's a trick, it turns out, doesn't fully protect you from it. Chips instead of cash. The first thing a casino does when you sit down is take your money and give you something that doesn't look like money. Chips come in colors: red, green, black, purple. They have numbers printed on them, sure, but a stack of black chips doesn't feel like $1,000. It feels like a stack of plastic. And that psychological distance is the entire point. This is called pain of paying in behavioral economics. The idea that parting with cash creates a small but real emotional friction that makes people more conservative spenders. Credit cards reduce that friction. Chips eliminate it almost entirely. Multiple studies have confirmed that people bet meaningfully larger amounts with chips or tokens than with equivalent cash. In one frequently cited experiment, participants spent significantly more in chip-based gambling scenarios than in cash-equivalent ones, even when fully aware the chips represented real money. Casinos have known this intuitively since long before the research caught up. It's also why online casinos convert your deposit into credits the moment you land on the site. The number on screen feels abstract. The credit card charge that eventually appears on your statement feels very, very real. But by then, you're already home. The chips also serve a secondary function. They're standardized, trackable, and much harder to counterfeit than cash. When a cheater in the 1990s tried introducing fake chips, they had to be nearly perfect replicas under UV light to have any chance of passing undetected. The casino got the fraud prevention for free. The psychological manipulation was the bonus.
Loyalty programs and comps.
The casino gives you a free hotel room, dinner for 2 at the steakhouse, maybe some show tickets. You feel like a valued guest. You feel like you're winning something. That feeling is entirely by design, and it's probably costing you more than you think. Casino loyalty programs. Players' club cards, rewards tiers, comp systems are sophisticated data collection and behavioral management tools dressed up as perks. Every time you use your card at a machine or table, The casino logs what you played, how long you played, how much you wagered, and what your net loss was. That data goes into a profile. Your comp offers are then calibrated based on that profile, specifically on what it costs the casino to give you enough free stuff to bring you back versus how much you reliably lose when you do. The math always resolves in the casino's favor. A free $200 hotel room gets extended to a player whose historical data shows they'll lose $800 on a return visit. That's not generosity, that's a 300% return on a comp. MGM Resorts, Caesars Entertainment, Wynn. All of them run these programs with a level of actuarial precision that would impress an insurance company. And the tiered structure, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, is explicitly designed to trigger status-seeking behavior. Moving up a tier feels like progress. It feels like winning. You are not winning. You're being retained. Dealer sleight of hand. Everything up to this point has been the casino working the system legally. This one is different. Casino dealers can cheat. Not all of them do, obviously. Most are honest professionals doing a demanding job. But the techniques exist, they're documented, and in verified cases, they've been used. The most subtle is called a bubble peak. A dealer handling a face-down card applies slight pressure to the corner, causing the card to briefly bow, just enough to flash the suit in value to someone who knows exactly where to look. Once the dealer knows what's coming, they can deal seconds. A technique where the top card is held back and the second card is dealt instead. The motion is almost identical to a normal deal. Surveillance cameras running at standard frame rates have historically struggled to catch it, and it takes a trained eye watching a slow-motion replay to confirm it happened. That's the dealer working alone. When casino employees coordinate with outside players, things escalate considerably. In one documented federal case, casino staff removed decks from play, handed them to accomplices who marked them with a special chemical dye visible only through infrared-tinted contact lenses, then reintroduced the marked cards into live games. Players wearing the lenses could read every card on the table. The scheme ran long enough that the people behind it faced federal racketeering charges. In another famous case, this one on the player side, Phil Ivey won £7.3 million at Crockford's Casino in London using a technique called edge sorting, identifying microscopic manufacturing imperfections on card backs to predict high-value cards before they were turned over. The casino refused to pay. A UK court eventually sided with the casino. The line between genius and cheating, it turns out, depends entirely on who's holding the money.